When starting muzzle training, we want the dog to voluntarily put their face in the muzzle. To do this, I start by rewarding any interaction between the dog's nose and the muzzle. Initially, I'm not expecting the dog to put their nose all the way in the muzzle to begin with. All I'm looking is for a sniff in the direction of the muzzle, and then we'll work up towards getting their nose in the muzzle later on. In the case of Hazel, she repeatedly tries to paw the muzzle because I've heavily rewarded her for paw for tricks in the past. To work on fixing that issue, I simply just give her a no reward marker and wait until she offers just the nose in the muzzle before she gets the treat. As she improves, I'll try to get more of her nose into the muzzle. Here you'll see me stick a treat in the muzzle. We only did this twice with this dog because she got a little bit uncomfortable, and the whole reason she's muzzle training is because she's learning how to escape uncomfortable circumstances without biting. It's also important to give your dogs breaks by tossing treats away and letting them take the opportunity to escape. We want the dog to enjoy this exercise, not hate it. Once we get to the point where she's consistently putting her nose all the way into the muzzle, I'll start putting a cue to it. In this case, we just used the word muzzle. As she gets more comfortable, I'll start to feed her through the bottom of the muzzle after she voluntarily puts her nose in the muzzle, and continue to watch for those stress signs to make sure that I'm not pushing her too far too fast. If you feel like your dog is getting too stressed, take a break and try again later. Before we can start adding the straps, we need to make sure that the dog is comfortable staying in the muzzle for an extended period of time. To do this, I like to use a squeezable treat or a treat stick to help them stay in the muzzle for a little bit longer. Once the dog can stay in the muzzle for an extended period of time, we start working on adding the straps. When adding the straps, take tiny steps. You want to make sure that your dog is comfortable with everything. If your dog seems to be more uncomfortable, you can start off by just reaching for the strap and then gradually building up to moving the strap over their head. As you progress, keep your hands still for longer as if you're buckling the straps. Once your dog seems comfortable, you can start buckling it for short periods of time. To aid this process, you can smear some of that squeezable treat along the inside of the muzzle so they're focused on licking while you work on getting the clip secured. Once the muzzle is in place, make sure you're only keeping it on their face for short periods of time. After the dog has gotten comfortable with having it on their face for short periods of time, you can start asking for different behaviors such as tricks or position changes. Once you've reached the point in the training where the dog is willingly keeping their face in the muzzle and allowing you to clip, it's time to start working on generalizing. Practice putting the muzzle on with you in different positions or the dog in different positions, and practice in different rooms. At this stage, you can also start working on building duration while doing other activities. It's important to reward often and keep it something high value like that squeezable treat. With the squeezable treat, the dog may be moving their head around quite a bit when you're trying to put on the muzzle to try and lick up any of what's left on the inside. With this muzzle, I'm having to support it a little bit on the bottom so I can get it in the right hole. During this process, it's important to be able to tell what is stress and the dog trying to actively avoid putting the muzzle on, and what is just the dog trying to lick the inside of the muzzle. If you feel like your dog is getting stressed, take a break and take a few steps backward in the process. Here is a good example of Hazel trying to play and trying to lick the inside of the muzzle at the same time. She wasn't trying to avoid the muzzle, she was just trying to have fun. I can tell that because I know this dog, and she wasn't actively trying to get the muzzle off once I had already put it on her. She has nice loose body language, a big tail wag, and she's actively engaging with me. All of those signs tell me that she is not stressed and she is enjoying the game that we're playing and the rewards that she's getting for having the muzzle on. It's important to keep this really fun for the dog so they're not developing negative associations with the muzzle. The muzzle needs to be something that's highly rewarding and doesn't bother them. Using special treats specifically for muzzle training like the squeezable treats will help build positive associations. Keep it short, keep it fun, and keep it rewarding. If you have any questions or you're struggling, please feel free to reach out to me.